Hello, I'm excited today to talk with my friend Pam Fields again. Do you ever think that you'd like to do more hospitality? Now, don't stop listening right now because maybe you've never thought you wanted to do more hospitality, but maybe you have. But you think that you have to wait until all the kids go off to college or all get married and you finally have the time, or you finally have a clean house to start doing hospitality. There's all these if onlys. The trouble is, moms need community more than ever and can be some of the loneliest people on earth. And I'm here today with my friend Pam to talk about some mom hospitality or what to do to help others and yourself feel less alone. Pam is a podcaster, a homeschool mom, a mother of nine. And how many grandchildren, Pam?
Four plus
Four
on the
plus
way.
one on the way.
Four,
Okay.
four, yeah.
Okay. Well, Pam, and where do you live?
We are in Middle Tennessee.
Middle Tennessee? Is that the name of the town? No.
No, but it's regions. Tennessee is like a rectangle, and
Oh,
there's East Tennessee, West Tennessee, and Middle Tennessee.
huh.
So
I have
I'm
not
about an
been.
hour. Yeah, I'm about an hour out of Nashville
Oh,
on
okay.
the east side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pam, why do you think it's important for mothers of young children to try and do hospitality? Answer that question first, would you please?
Well, okay, let's go first with hospitality versus entertainment,
Oh, good.
right?
That's one of my favorite topics. Say it. So, why is
Yeah.
that important?
So there's definitely a difference, right? If
Yes.
I hospitality is like welcome to my world. I want to be part of your
Yes.
life. I want to, I want to have this exchange and this friendship
Hmm.
and something like let's just be friends. Where
Yeah.
entertainment is like I am trying to impress you. I
Mhm.
want you to like walk away going, wow, she puts on a great party. Like, did
That's
you
right.
see, the China that entertaining you dust the baseboards, right? Hospitality, there may be toothpaste on the guest towel in the bathroom, and that's
Mm,
okay.
yeah, that's
So,
right.
and that's what moms need, right? We
Hmm.
we perhaps don't have time to entertain, but hospitality, I can do that.
That's so true. And I remember having some young moms over when I was a younger mom. And when we're all done having coffee, we found a huge box of dry laundry detergent from Costco or something, completely dumped over on the floor of the laundry room. And it was my girlfriend's little boy who had done that.
Hmm.
And she cleaned it up. So that was good. But it's like, it's no big deal. It was already
Right,
dirty. And
right,
and the
right.
fact was, she was blessed to be at my table, as I'm sure. I love that what you just said. Hospitality is a welcome to my world, especially when you have kids.
Yeah,
And I don't worry about baseboards in general, but some people do. And they
yeah.
get too uptight then to invite someone over, whereas the person they would invite really needs to be over and they really don't see our baseboards. Isn't that right?
Yeah. Well, I do dust the baseboards, but I
Oh,
don't
you do?
dust them. That is saved for like if somebody has an attitude and needs a little project,
Oh, I
then
see.
I
For one of your
assign it.
kids.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes. So it,
That's
it
right.
does get done from time to time, but
Yeah.
it's typically not me doing it.
Right. I think it's important for moms of young children. One of the points I like to make for us to do hospitality when our kids are younger because it models it for the kids so that
Yeah.
they are more comfortable when they go out on their own, even if they're just in a sorority or they're off to college or they're working and they have their friends over in their home. They do it with more ease. I've noticed that with my
Yeah.
kids because they
Mhm.
were raised with it. So I think that alone is a good reason to get over our own angst because we all
Yeah.
have angst about something. Now,
Yeah.
tell me what you call boxcar days. What is that something that you've done that you call boxcar days? Explain that.
Okay, so we do homeschool, and homeschoolers are known for reading a lot. Now, I have to admit, I personally have not read The Boxcar Children, but it is a very popular book
Oh yeah, I've heard of it.
for young people. Yeah, and
Hmm.
so the concept of Boxcar Days is that there's these children that are orphans, and they live in a box car.
Hmm.
And again, I have not read it myself, but I have assigned it to my children. So they think it is a fantastic series of stories
Yeah.
where the older children take care of the younger children, and they like do all these adult things like they're in charge of their world. And so when all my children were at home and when they were young, uh, I hosted Boxcar Days at my house. And it could be 5 days in a row during the summer or once a week for like every Monday for the entire summer or
Okay.
whatever. I like mixed it up.
And what did you do?
So I told my mama friends, I want you to bring your kiddos over. If they haven't read the Boxcar Children, have them read it. So there's their assignment, right?
Hmm.
And then bring a packed lunch
Hmm.
and a snack to share.
Oh,
And so then the mamas stayed inside the air conditioning
uh-huh.
house and with the toddlers, the nursing infants, ones who really needed to have a very protective eye on them, stayed in the house with mamas.
Okay.
And then all the other children went outside for the entire day.
Wow.
And we lived on property, so there was a lot of tree climbing, chasing bugs, digging ponds, like whatever they wanted to do. Another word for it is probably free range children. So
Like free-range chicken.
yeah. So we let them go out and explore and play. And they were on their own. They knew
Yeah.
where
Okay.
their sack lunch was. And then I had a fridge on the back porch and I would keep like water in there. Well, they actually learned to drink from the hose, some of them, like the old fashioned way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But we just let them play. And then every now and then we would, when they'd finished their lunches, everything that they had brought in their bags, lunch boxes or bags, then we'd get a knock on the window. And that would be like, remember, they're orphans, right? So
Oh,
they're
okay.
like, knock, knock, knock. Excuse me, ma'am. We don't have any food. My little brother is hungry. Do you have anything that you can give us? We're orphans. And so then my window did not have a screen in it. And I had placed a table below the window on the outside. And so the mamas would have like a bag of tortilla chips, or we'd already prepared like a cut up watermelon or something.
Hmm.
And so we'd reach out the window, we'd put the food down and shut the window and go back to our fellowship in the house. And it was, the kids were loving it. It
Oh,
was fun for them to be creative, imaginative. They took care of each other and they got to like live out this book that they had
wow.
read.
That is so
And
clever.
yeah, it was fun. And so
Huh.
the moms would bring projects. Sometimes they'd bring scrapbooks to work on, they would bring knitting or crochet. Sometimes they would bring their homeschool planning for the next year or their
Hmm.
budget for their family. But
Hmm.
then sometimes they were like, you know what? I didn't bring anything. I just want to sit here and rest and
Hmm.
enjoy everybody's time. So,
Oh,
really, on the mama side, we used it however, we
yeah.
needed to fill our cup,
Mm.
but it was kind of a way to provide fellowship for our kids
Okay.
and fellowship to the moms.
Yeah, I think it's so great. One thing I didn't know about this was that you didn't really plan a program for the kids. Whereas the thing
Oh,
that
no.
I did when Bonnie was, my oldest was maybe fourth grade, she came home from school and someone had hurt her feelings by not inviting her to their little girls club that they had just made up.
Oh,
And I
uh-huh.
thought, wow, this is the beginning of the Mean Girls
Mm-hmm.
already in third or fourth grade. And I said, well, how about if we just have our own club and we invite everybody? So this was close to summer. So we called it the Summer Fun Sun Club, SON. And I
Oh,
put notes in the cubbies of all the kids that we're inviting from her class, because my kids were in public school. And I said that we would be doing something fun every day. And I listed the different things. So I did do a little bit of programming, but that's me. And maybe it's control, I don't know, but what to do, right? And I will have a printable on this information. So if anybody's listening, they're in the car or they're walking, they don't want to take notes, but I will have a printable of information on this. It worked out so well. Our kids were so excited to be the ones hosting. And I put in the invitation that we would be reading a Bible story so that those whose families didn't go to church or they weren't Christians, I was not trying to hoodwink them into,
yeah.
being evangelical without the parents knowing. And so we did a 2 hour activity, and we did this about 3 or 4 summers in a row. And some summers we did it every day of the week, like you said, 5 days in a row,
Hmm.
kind of
Yeah.
just to get it out of the way. And
Yeah.
then another time we did it 5 weeks in a row, one day,
Yeah.
or maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I don't remember. It's been so long.
Right.
But I know it was fun, and we did relay races, simple ones. We don't have acreage, but we had a big front yard. We did something to go along with the Summer Olympics, and my husband got out these big tires, and they did obstacle
Fun.
courses. I taught them how to make meatloaf, and so the parents were told to send along, a pound and a half of hamburger, um, and tomato sauce, and I provided the rest. And so they got all the girls, you know, mixing with their
Squishy.
hands,
Yeah.
and they went home with dinner and baked potatoes for their family for dinner that night. And so
Wow.
it was just a fun thing to do that keep our kids busy, but also profitable, right? Just
Yeah.
playing, like what your kids were doing, just playing is the most profitable thing. And then also to learn something and then to hear a Bible story. So it
Yeah.
makes our kids stronger in their faith because they're
Yeah.
passing that around to other people. And the parents appreciate it. It gave them something to do that wasn't
Yeah.
VB, it wasn't Vacation Bible School. It was just over at the Donaldson. So we called the
Yeah.
Summer Fun Sun Club. I think I sent an article to the MOPS organization on this. And because it's just a fun, creative thing, and
Yeah.
it's a little bit of work, but once you plan it out, it's not that much work. Okay, well, you
Yeah.
have another one that I want you to tell us about what you call project days.
Okay, so this truly came from a place of overwhelm for myself.
Okay.
Now, to review, I had 9 children that were, well, the oldest was 17 when the youngest was born. So, um, I, several
That's a
young
lot of overwhelm.
children,
Yeah,
and yeah, and then uh, the bedroom situation seemed to change every couple years when a
yeah,
new baby was born, and
sure.
I was like, I know there's a better way to do this. How could I change things up? But with children come toys, clothes, all the mess and
Sure.
catastrophe of the bedrooms, right?
Right.
So, um, I did a few different little projects days, but the one that really stands out most in my mind is um, I told all my girlfriends in my homeschool group, I said, I'm going to need help. I want to do a big room swap and kind of rearrange things. And it
In
means I
your
got
in
to
your own house, you mean?
in my own house.
Okay.
Yes. But like it was going to involve taking down bunk beds, disassembling,
Oh, wow.
moving everybody's junk,
Hmm.
like dressers and all the things. And I knew I couldn't do it. And it was just kind of hanging over my head because I saw this vision of what would work better in our home
Hmm.
functionally. But my husband, self-employed, works many, many hours. And
Yeah,
I probably wouldn't be able to get his help for a few months on it, right?
sure.
He calls me an immediator instead of a procrastinator. So
Like
if
you
I
want it
can
done right now.
immediate,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I knew if I wanted it done right now, I had to make it happen. So I told my friends, I am going to order a bunch of pizzas and provide, fruit,
Oh,
pizza, and water.
okay.
And I'm inviting you over
To
to
work.
help me with my project. Yes. But I offered reciprocation. Okay.
Okay.
So I did offer that and we did do that. So these gals came over to my house. We
Hmm.
again set everybody loose to play outside, have fun, and it was better for them to be outside as we were in the house. And we divided up, mamas in different rooms, and it was like we could unload all the dressers into boxes and laundry baskets. I had to do some prep ahead of
I was
time
going
and
to
grab the
say that takes
cardboard boxes.
it's a little bit of organization. And you'd have to say, Debbie,
Yeah.
you do this, Ashley, you do this, that type of thing.
Well, I mostly had boxes, and I was pretty much just dump all their junk out into the boxes. We're going to swap rooms and then put it back. But the thing
Oh,
that was great about having the kids outside and having objective, is that the word? I
yes,
think
an
objective
object.
eyes, is that my friends, when they would look at a piece of clothing that was torn, soiled, and garbage at this point,
Hmm.
they didn't have the emotional attachment like, oh, I remember when they wore this, right?
Yes.
Or if there was a broken toy, they were like, chuck it,
Yes, right.
don't keep this. And
Mhm.
so we kind of did that, here's for donation, here's for garbage, here's the keep and put away.
Okay.
So we were able to really go through things quickly,
Mm,
and they helped me sort things out without
mm,
that emotional attachment.
mhm.
And what the this is probably why it stands out most in my mind is my husband's office was a couple miles down the road. He often came home for lunch. He did not know that I was doing this project day. And he comes in the driveway, walks into the house, and he's like, why are there so many cars here? And there was
Mm.
children all over
Everywhere.
the yard. And he kind of took a look around and said, I think I'm going to go out to lunch today.
Sure.
But
Smart man.
we were able to flip the bedrooms
Yeah.
and do it all in one day. And it was social time for me, social time for the kids. It was not as physically exhausting. And you know how long this project would have taken me if I would have, in the mundane, tried
Hmm.
to keep stabbing at it day after day after day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we did reciprocate, like each mom, it's like, hey, do you have a project? We'll come over and do yours next. Do you want to do
And
yours
you did that.
next?
And you did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
That
I
was my
not
question.
everybody, yeah,
Yeah.
not everybody had a project,
Yeah.
but those who did,
Did. Yeah.
yeah, we could go nail their project. And for some, it's not switching rooms. It's like, oh my goodness, this spring cleaning,
Hmm.
there's some areas we're gonna have company, and I do not know how I am gonna work out the details of getting it done. I could
Yeah.
use some help.
Well, I think trading our needs and giftings is biblical.
Yeah.
And not only to offer your services, but to ask for help is healthy and helpful, as we are the hands and feet of Jesus. And a lot of people will not ask for help. And I think if you set it up like, I need help, that gives them the permission to ask for help, maybe in a smaller scale. I remember um, I do mine on a smaller scale because I don't have, 17 children. But but one day I was overwhelmed because we had an understairs closet where I just shoved all the games and things I bought at garage sales and things like that. And I was so overwhelmed, and it's dark in there, and just to get in there and get all that cleaned out. And I had a very well organized girlfriend at the time. She now lives in the South, but she lived across town at that time. And I called her and I said, Debbie, would you mind helping me organize my understairs closet? And I will feed you tuna sandwiches. Now, tuna was her favorite. She's a cheap date. So I didn't buy a bunch of pizzas, but it certainly worked as a good bribe. But what I didn't know, Pam, was that halfway through the time when we were sitting on the floor and we're going through all these Monopoly pieces, like I had way too many Monopoly games. So she's just so good at organizing all that, knowing what things to throw away, like you said,
Yeah. Yeah.
what games will never be the same. We can toss those. She was sharing about a hard family issue, an
Mm.
extended family issue, and she was just talking about it. And I can be a good listener, and I was a good listener, and I was able to reflect back some comfort and some insight. And then by the time the closet was all cleaned up, we sat down and had our tuna sandwiches. And I thought, wow, that I didn't know she needed to share. I just know
Yeah.
I needed help. But
Yeah.
God worked it out for us both to be blessed. And all we did was, eat tuna sandwiches at the end. And so I think if you're feeling overwhelmed, mom, by life right now, if you can ask the Lord, who could help me feel less overwhelmed in this one room or this one area? Maybe it's finances, maybe it's just organizing the desktop of your computer, something like that. If you have a friend like that who could do that with you and you could just offer help in return, I think we bless each other and we make life a little less infuriating and less complicated.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Just being in the same physical space like that, it opens up opportunity to speak life into each other that I don't think
so
we'd
true.
have in any other, she probably wasn't going to pick up the phone and tell you
Right.
about the challenge she
No,
was going through,
no.
but you're just there.
Right.
and it just happens.
That's right. And we take the opportunity as God allows it, but it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't expressed my own need. And then maybe there's a
Yeah.
lesson in there. Okay, lastly, what about older kids? What have you done to get your older children to gain good community?
Well, somebody suggested to me once upon a time, she says, we're working so hard to raise our children and really train them in the Lord. But I don't know where they're going to meet other people. Again, homeschooling, sometimes it's like you have some co-ops, but you're just there for your one class or three classes and you leave. She said, we should do some game night or something.
Mm.
And I thought, we could do that. So we started hosting a once a month teen game night, and
Oh,
it was potluck again. Everybody bring something to contribute and bring your teenagers, and we're just going to do games. And so it started out just my teenagers would invite their friends, and it got a little bigger and a little bigger, and we got to where we had like 50,
hmm.
55 teenagers, and some of them were showing up and nobody knew who they
Yeah,
were.
yeah.
So at one point we're like, maybe we need to kind of back down a little bit, scale down. But it was awesome because it was a place where they could connect. We didn't really do board games. It was more of the, like youth group games
Yeah.
where, like just people
Mhm.
games. But at one point, the kids were like, this is so much fun, but we really feel like we should tithe some of our time back to the Lord. And so one of them brought their guitar each time and they did some worship. And then
Mm.
the kids would be like, hey, would you do a devotional next time? Would you do a devotional the following month? And that was something that they did on their own, which was
Wow.
really cool as a parent to step
Yeah.
back and be like, I was thinking this was just a party, but they turned it into worship.
Mm.
And,
Wow. What a
that kind,
blessing.
so that, yeah, that was cool.
Now, this sounds like
Uh,
a youth group. Did this take the place of youth group?
yeah, we actually didn't send our older children to youth group at all. And so I guess it would maybe be
Hmm.
that, but it was not any church in particular. It
Right.
was just random, friends that we had connected with over the last few years. Funny thing though, I actually met one of my neighbors through this. I was at Costco and this gentleman came up to me and he recognized my van. Now, keep in mind, I drove one of these, looks like an Amazon delivery van at this
Mhm.
point, right? It's like 15 passenger, super tall van.
Mhm.
So not a lot of people were driving those, 10,
Mhm.
15 years ago. So this guy walks up to me in the Costco parking lot and he goes, hey, I want you to know you have a tail light out. I'm like, okay, that's really weird. He goes, I live down State Street too. I follow you all the time. And
Oh,
you got a tail light out. And I go, oh, okay. And he goes, do you homeschool? I said, yeah. He goes, well, we homeschool too. I said, oh, do you have teenagers? He goes, yeah, I got I don't know, 3 or 4 teenagers. And I go, oh, well, we're having a teen game night tonight. You guys want to bring them over? He's like, yeah. I was
wow.
like, okay, that was weird. And so this guy, totally random, that I met at Costco in the parking lot, shows up that night with his teenagers. And they came every month, for a real long time. And the parents, some would just drop off and then head out. Some of the teenagers drove themselves. But there was also a group of parents who would come and they would stay. And so,
Mm.
again, you've got the parents that are having that opportunity to get to know one another.
Right.
And we would be in the next room so the kids could be doing their thing.
Hmm.
And we did have rules like if they played any outdoor games, we're like, everybody stays in the immediate yard, you're not wandering off,
Yeah. Hmm.
and we did have some parameters for the teens. We did not free range them quite in
I
the same way.
I have a question. What did you do to help the introverts feel more integrated?
Well, they had, a lot of the, what was the one catchphrase? They did use
Oh,
that.
yeah. Okay.
There's a like a game,
Hmm.
right? But I don't know. I feel like a lot of the kids had eyes for each other in that way.
Mm,
You know, they kind of just
picked them up.
chose games that everybody went around
Hmm.
and shared something. I have to admit I wasn't in that room. You know,
Yeah.
from a distance I
Yeah.
watched,
Hmm.
and most people when they came they kept coming back, so I don't think it was an issue.
Okay. I remember when I was part of a singles group, which you never were, because I didn't get married till I was 35, but we had a game night where we set a timer and every half hour we switched game tables. And that was
Oh,
kind of a
that's
fun
fun.
thing. And you could do that with
Yeah.
teenagers as well,
Yeah.
or even married couples. Well, when we were engaged or dating, I think, dear friends of ours taught us this wild game called Screamo, which is similar to Bunko, but more fun and louder because it's called Screamo.
Of course.
And we passed it on to our kids because it's so much fun. Actually, we played it with our own adult Sunday school class, and it goes on and on. And my oldest daughter, she even hosted a Screamo night as a young adult in her home in San Francisco for her own birthday party, and none of her friends had heard of it. And my friend
I'm
Lisa,
gonna have to look it up
yeah,
for sure. I'm
I
gonna
don't
look it
know if
up.
it's listed. I'm just gonna have to send you the rules, but you kind of make the pieces yourself out of cardboard pieces.
Oh,
And I
okay.
have a paper cutter, you probably do too, to make little pieces. My friend Lisa and I surprised Bonnie for that birthday party, and we just showed up on her doorstep with chocolate chip cookie dough brownies and birthday cake because, of course, my daughter doesn't bake, even though she's a great host. And they really appreciated that, and they played very loudly and very long. And and we've given sets of pieces to each other or to the kids for Christmas. So it's just really a great game and a blast for sure. And I think it's important for non-believers to see that Christians can have a great time and play games. They don't have to go out and do wild parties.
Mhm.
Pam, thanks for sharing your ideas today. I'm going to wrap this up now. Is there anything else that you wanted to share?
Well, uh, the only other thing I could think of was even, you know, I feel like when you started out, you said we feel like we need to kind of put life on hold until our
Yes.
children are gone and put the entertaining or the hospitality on hold.
Yeah.
I just would encourage you to just jump in, do things with your children. Like you said, you're setting this uh, what do
Model,
you used a
model,
word? What do you use?
model.
Model. Yes. You're modeling this.
Hmm.
And I do think that it not only models how to be um, a good hostess, right? But I think it shows our children that we love our time with them and
Hmm.
we want them to be part of our lives and that they are not like we don't have to put them off on a shelf and we don't have to have mom's night out separate and away from our children. We can do mom's night out with our children in the next room,
Hmm.
in the same way we can do a date night with our spouse with, the kids are in the other room, we've put them to bed, we've put on a pot of tea and bought some nice Oreos or something and we're
Yeah.
just gonna, have time
Hmm.
together. And we can do those things with our children. We don't really have to separate them.
And
It's
we
nice
don't
sometimes,
and we don't
but
have to have 12 acres either to do this.
right.
Mhm.
Nope.
My
Nope.
friend Kathy from Retired Empty Nest, I don't know if you follow her. She always includes something fun to do in her life at least every 2 weeks because I get her newsletter. And I think fun helps us thrive. And I think it attracts people to the kingdom of God, which is why we're still
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to play Screamo with the 12 disciples when I get to heaven. But in the meantime, I'll schedule fun and hospitality for my family as often as I can. Thank you so much, Pam Fields. Oh, and where
Yep.
can people find you?
Instagram, Tending Fields,
Indian Fields.
Facebook, Tending Fields, and I have a mom's group over there if anybody's looking for a place to just chat about practical life and get some encouragement as a mom.
And
Tending
did
Fields Moms Group.
okay, Tending Fields. And the name of your podcast is?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. The Mom Next Door Stories of Faith.
I love that. All right. Thank you so much, my friend.
All right, see you later.